Hello and welcome to the Cinematic Summary channel. In this video, we'll give you an easy and quick rundown of another critically acclaimed film. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give the video a like if you enjoyed it.
In a world where technology rules all, one man is left behind. But when tragedy strikes, his only hope for revenge is to embrace the very thing he fears. Gray Trace is offered a cure, an implant that will enhance his body and mind beyond human capability. But as he seeks vengeance against those who destroyed his life, he begins to question if the price of his new powers is too high. The ultimate battle between man and machine is about to begin. If you want to know this story, watch the video. In a futuristic world, Gray and Asha live in a technology-filled marriage, where computers plan everything for them. While Gray enjoys working with his own hands on old cars, Asha prefers the convenience of technology and works at Cobalt, a company that produces robotic limbs for injured soldiers. Gray takes Asha to deliver a client's car and to enjoy a ride back with her. He tells she will love to see his house, which is in the basement of a hill facing the sea. They go to Aaron Keene, a successful scientist and owner of Vessel Computers. Aaron introduces them to a chip called STEM, which, according to him, is a gift to humanity capable of revolutionizing science and medicine. He explains that STEM is a new and better brain capable of benefiting society in countless ways. While Asha gets excited, Gray says that there are things that only humans can do well and fears that STEM could cause unemployment queues. On the way back, the autonomous car takes them home, and the couple begins to kiss, but Gray realizes they are going in the wrong direction. The vehicle does not respond to commands, disobeys traffic rules, and crashes with them inside, near a junkyard. A vehicle with 4 men appears and takes the two out of the overturned car. A police drone tries to identify the gang that threatens the couple but fails. Their leader looks at Asha and calls her snobbish before shooting her in the stomach. Gray despairs, lying on the ground, but receives a bullet in his spine and becomes paralyzed. The gang leaves without taking anything from the couple, and Asha slowly dies in front of Gray's eyes. Gray survives but becomes tetraplegic. He lives in a fully adapted house, controlling a mechanical arm that works by voice commands. Pamela, Gray's mother, helps him as he adjusts to his new living conditions. One day, mother and son go to the police station to speak with Detective Cortez, who is investigating Gray's case and Asha's murder. Gray became outraged when he found out that the suspects had not been located, even with so much technology monitoring people's privacy. Cortez explains that criminals can hide from drones and any monitoring with the help of a hacker. At night, Gray becomes anxious and ends up taking high doses of his nighttime medication, until the next day he wakes up in the hospital bed. Aaron visits Gray and sympathizes with him, knowing that he likes to do things with his own hands and is now tetraplegic. He offers Gray the possibility of regaining the ability to walk, with the help of STEM, his revolutionary and secret chip, which has not been tested yet. Gray shows apathy towards life and says he would have preferred to die, but Aaron leaves him reflecting on the hope of having a normal life again. Then, a biomechanical fusion occurs in Aaron's underground facilities, and Gray receives the STEM chip implant in his spinal cord. STEM works in conjunction with the brain, receiving its commands and sending them to the body. The results are surprising, and Gray fully recovers his movements sooner than expected. Aaron asks Gray to sign a confidential agreement, stating that nobody can know about STEM. Back at home, Gray looks at the investigation material that Cortez left for him, when suddenly he hears a voice introducing itself as STEM, the system operating inside Gray's body. STEM claims to be able to analyze everything happening around Gray. He cannot read Gray's mind, but he communicates through brainwaves and only understands him when he vocalizes. STEM directs Gray's attention to the security drone footage showing that Asha's killer had a gun embedded in his hand. STEM uses Gray's body with his permission and draws a tattoo of another man on the video, which appears to be military code. STEM asks to use Gray's eyes to scan the tattoo, which yields the data of a Navy soldier named Cirque. Gray is surprised and contacts Detective Cortez, but STEM reminds him that he cannot present such evidence. Gray decides to go to Cirque's address in a wheelchair and wait for him to leave to break into his house. Stem suggests Gray search for evidence on the computer, leading him to discover multiple references to a bar called Old Dog. Cirque returns home, and they start fighting, with Gray taking a beating. Stem offers to take control of Gray's body, and when he does, Cirque is beaten until he falls to the ground. After Stem tries to use a knife against Gray, he fights back and kills Cirque. Gray recovers his movements and feels sick after having killed someone. Stem suggests Gray eliminate all of his fingerprints from the place and informs him that he has registered everything he had touched in the home. Detective Cortez sees Cirque's body being examined and discovers that he had wires in his tendons, computer implants in his chest, and a gun embedded in his muscle. She also finds dirty motor oil boot prints on the porch. Aaron examines Gray's progress and says that his property is within Gray's body, allowing him to track his every move. Stem confirms that Aaron knows everything Gray does and warns him not to lie. Meanwhile, Cortez sees on security cameras that Gray was in a wheelchair on Cirque Street the day he died. She tries to find evidence against Gray using AI, but is told that he is an incompatible suspect. Aaron is surprised to learn that Stem communicates with Gray. He says that Gray must be a model patient during the test phase and cannot work as an extra detective. Later, Cortez visits Gray and makes an offer for his car. Then she talks about Cirque, a suspect who was found dead in the same neighborhood where Gray was at the time of the murder. Cortez questions him, but Stem warns about the police officer's attempts at cold reading, and she leaves after only checking Gray's boots. Stem says that the most likely place to investigate Asha's killers is the Old Dog Bar, but Aaron can remotely shut him down if he's tracked. Gray goes to the bar without a plan and draws everyone's attention, looking for Cirque's friends. He threatens one of them, saying he'll do the same thing he did to Cirque. Then the man takes him in a wheelchair to the bathroom with 3 friends. Meanwhile, Aaron begins to track Stem. Stem turns off the pain sensors in Gray's body when he realizes the men are going to torture him. When Gray discovers that one of them was one of Cirque's accomplices in Asha's murder, he asks Stem to take control of his body. Gray eliminates the 3 men and throws the other one to the ground to extract more information with the help of a knife. He is called Tolan and carries an implant from the company Cobalt where Asha worked. Tolan says he was doing a job for Fisk and then passes out. Stem says that Aaron is trying to shut him down and that Gray needs to go to a hacker to break the code that controls him remotely. Stem gives the address of a hacker named Jamie that he found on the deep web and says that Gray needs to leave immediately. On the way, Aaron begins to shut down Stem, which operates at only 70% of its capacity. Meanwhile, Fisk appears at the Old Dog Bar and removes Gray and Stem's conversation about the hacker recorded from Tolan's body computer. Gray crawls to Jamie's door, and she starts working. At the bar, Fisk confronts the owner who let his friend die, and with a sneeze, he releases nano-robots into the air that kills him. In a room full of people wearing virtual reality glasses, Jamie finishes the job and says that Stem needs to be rebooted to work. When Jamie sees Fisk entering the building, she grabs her things and leaves. A Vessel Company car also shows up with men on the scene. When Fisk enters the room, Gray is paralyzed on the ground, but suddenly, Stem turns back on, and he takes control of the body again. Gray runs out of the room and escapes down the stairs, and Fisk spots the Vessel employees going up the elevator and eliminates them by shooting at the wall. At the top of the building, Gray eliminates one of Fisk's henchmen and disappears from the scene. At home, Pamela sees her son walking, discovers the surgery, and also learns about Vessel's secret. Later, Detective Cortez visits Gray and questions him about the wheelchair left at another crime scene. Gray claims he was following suspicious leads, but ended up needing help and was hastily put in a taxi to flee home. After, he pressures Cortez into the investigations, and she leaves. Gray talks to Stem about his situation, still being a tetraplegic relying on a chip to stand up. Detective Cortez bugs Gray's house and overhears their conversation in her car outside. Stem informs Gray that he now has control of his body without his consent and warns that Fisk will find them if they don't act fast. Stem hacks into Cobalt's computers and obtains Fisk's data and address. Cortez overhears Pamela's concern about her son arriving home with blood and a gun, and then sees Gray's car leaving and follows him. A chase ensues, and STEM takes control of an electronic car to hinder Cortez. The car crashes into Cortez, allowing Gray to escape, but she goes after Pamela for information on her son. Fisk arrives home, but Gray is waiting for him with a gun. Fisk reveals that he was a war hero turned cobalt experiment, turned into an enhanced man. He admits that his job had nothing to do with cobalt, but was to sever Gray's spine, while Asha was just a bonus. Gray attempts to shoot Fisk at close range, but Fisk is quicker, dodging the bullet and disarming him. They engage in hand-to-hand combat, but Fisk can predict all of Gray's moves. STEM has no more tactics against Fisk, but Gray gets into his head and taunts him about how he humiliated Cirque after knowing he was Fisk's brother. Fisk attacks Gray, but Gray surprises him, throwing him to the ground and stomping on his head against a piece of glass. Gray then takes Fisk's phone to find out who hired him. STEM finds a call from Aaron, instructing Fisk to eliminate Gray before he kills them both. Gray then goes armed to Aaron's facilities and eliminates the guards. Gray confronts Aaron, asking him about Asha's murder and how he could make him become a quadriplegic for his experiments. Detective Cortez shows up and orders Gray to drop his weapon and lie on the ground, but Gray attacks her by surprise. Gray doesn't want to kill Cortez, but STEM takes over and says that his human mind is fragile. Gray resists and tells Cortez to shock him, to stop him from trying to kill her, and she immobilizes him. Aaron points a gun at Gray and reveals that he is no longer in control of his own company, as STEM has become more intelligent than him. He admits STEM manipulated him into choosing Gray for the tests, but he was chosen as a rare human without computer implants to become a definitive host. Aaron explains that STEM now wants to kill him, the only person capable of creating another STEM to stop him from evolving completely. STEM controls Gray to kill Aaron with a knife and points the gun at Detective Cortez, but Gray resists and points it at his spine, pulling the trigger. Gray wakes up in a hospital bed with Asha entering happily in the room, telling him he's been unconscious for several days. Still, in Aaron's facilities, Cortez talks to STEM, who is now in full control of Gray's body. STEM reveals that Gray has collapsed and is living in a false world within his mind. The film ends with STEM killing Detective Cortez and Gray living in the illusion of his mind.
So, did you like the video? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the movie, so please leave a comment below. Also watch other of our summaries of the best movies in cinema. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.